Hello folks, Trouble T Cat here. Sorry there haven't been any videos in a while. I've been really focused on uni stuff. It's that time of semester where I gotta be really focused on that stuff, so there haven't been many videos. Sorry about that. But anyway, moving on. Today I'm gonna be talking about my ED, which is a very serious issue. The doctor gave me some pills, so hopefully everything's gonna be sorted out soon. But in the meantime, I've been playing a fair bit of Elite Dangerous. A few months ago, I made a different video about Elite Dangerous where I talked about whether or not I thought it was a good idea to buy the game. This video is kind of a follow-up on that. The short answer as to whether or not I'd recommend it is still no. The long answer is yes, if, which is nice. I think that if you really love space sims and you're hungry for something like this, ED is good enough now that you'll probably get your money's worth. I think the game has improved a lot in the past few months, really. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more now. I took a big break from it, and I sort of came back. It feels a lot less grindy to me, like there are much better rewards for a wider range of activities, so that's nice. I've been getting involved in Power Play, which I found fun for about 2 weeks. If you get sort of involved in the online community for your Power Play power, that can be kind of interesting. It gives you a little bit more context. You're still doing the same basic kinds of repetitive actions as you do otherwise, moving stuff from one place to another or killing a bunch of dudes. But it gives you a bit more context for those actions. I think that's probably not for everyone, though. It's more of like an MMO-y kind of feature. And so, for me, that was okay, but not perfect. The same basic problems remain, even though I do feel like it's better now in a lot of small ways. The game has a fair few things to do, but it still feels pretty hollow and pointless. There's really sterile, empty feeling, like the game doesn't have any kind of heart. There's very few ways you can actually interact with the world, and the world itself is basically this big, empty thing. I don't know. It's unfortunate. There's a great game in there somewhere, but Frontier still haven't quite managed to draw it out, I guess is how I feel about it. Maybe the stuff coming in Horizons over the next year, the planetary landings, and some other features that they haven't talked about as much yet, is finally going to breathe some life into the game, maybe? It's hard to be sure at this point, and also I feel like Horizons is very overpriced. I will probably end up buying it, but it should really cost like half of what it does, which would bring it more in line with normal prices for an expansion pack. I'm not saying they should give the thing away for peanuts. There's going to be a lot of content in Horizons, but right now it costs as much as a full game. That's dumb. It's not. It's an expansion pack. It should cost less than that. Whatever though. I have a few suggestions for ways to improve things. I don't necessarily think these are the best solutions, but I'm just going to throw a few ideas out there. I'm doing this in this video in the context of a review because bringing up these suggestions, I think it's going to help sort of illustrate what I mean. Like I said before, that the game feels kind of sterile and hollow, and that's all well and good, but that's probably not that meaningful to a lot of people. So I'm going to bring up some suggestions for things that I think would improve it, and at the same time, that'll kind of illustrate, I think, what I mean by that. My first suggestion would be for frame shift jumps to terminate in regular space at the nav beacon rather than you're in Super Cruise next to the star. Right now, these nav beacons serve no clear function, and it really confuses me that you see NPCs hanging out at them, since why would anyone ever go there? That's not why I suggest this, though. You could just get rid of the nav beacons if they're pointless. Right now, trading and smuggling have basically no risk. It's called Elite Dangerous, but there's really no danger in anything except for combat-focused professions whatsoever. You may get interdicted, and you'll get interdicted frequently, and it will be very annoying, but it's very unlikely you'll lose anything whatsoever to an interdiction unless you're AFK or you didn't put shields on your ship or you're some kind of moron, basically. If you make people pop into a system at a nav beacon, it would add another place where smugglers might get scanned or traders could be ambushed by pirates. In areas with lots of patrols and stuff, like high security systems, there is a security rating in the game already for systems. It's kind of hidden. As far as I can tell, it doesn't do a whole lot. I think there are more, patrols in those areas, but whatever. Anyway, in those areas, maybe there'd be lots of system authority vessels there scanning people at those nav beacons, so it'd be a safe place for traders, but dangerous for smugglers because they might get scanned. in areas with less security, you know, maybe there's like ambushes, so traders would be trying to then plot routes to avoid dangerous systems. It'd slow down travel a lot, so there's a big downside there, because already traveling places can feel very laborious, and this would slow it down, so it might not be the best solution, but I think it would also add considerably more interest to those two playstyles, so it might be worth it. Maybe have whether or not you need to drop out at a nav beacon depend on the mass of your ship and cargo, or something like that. How much cargo is in your hold? Like, you could justify that in the game. You know, maybe the hyperdrive thing can't. You know, you'd find some way to justify it. The tech is pure fantasy anyway, so fuck it. You know, something like that would probably work. My second suggestion would be less interdictions, but more meaningful interdictions. As I mentioned before, right now getting interdicted is annoying, but it's nothing other than annoying. There's very little tension. You will escape, probably completely unharmed. I'd say to make them considerably less common, but actually dangerous. Design them so you can't just easily boost away and escape with almost no risk. Like, I don't know exactly what to do there. Longer frameshift drive cooldown, or maybe security vessels and pirates can fit a module where you can inhibit somebody's frameshift drive beyond the current mass disruption. That'd be a nightmare in PvP if players could use it, so I'm not sure. It's hard to solve that, but I think it has to be done, because right now they just don't mean anything. As part of the same system, like, make actually dropping cargo to appease pirates an option, or other forms of dialogue. Like, maybe you can bribe security officers to look the other way with a few credits, something like that. Add in a system for actual dialogue with NPCs, these people who interdict you. Like, maybe you can choose a couple of responses to their message in the comms window. You could then also use that to make missions more interesting. I think something along those lines might already be in the pipeline to make more interesting missions. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, third suggestion, actual penalties for smuggling. This is a much smaller issue and just related to what is currently a flavor of the month playstyle, because it's really, really profitable right now, which might change in a few patches, but it's brought to my attention that right now, if you get scanned while smuggling, I was trying really hard to avoid getting scanned for a while there, but I mean, it happened, and you get hit with a very small fine. It'll be like a small portion of the value of your cargo, which is really stupid. You need to be, like, attacked or barred from docking for a while at the station or something like that. At the very least, you need to incur a fine that is so large that you'll make a loss on the mission if you actually pay the fine. Right now, there's no risk to smuggling, which seems stupid to me. Like, I sort of look at the missions, and whether or not a thing is smuggling or legal trading makes no difference to me, because it's so unlikely that I'll have a negative outcome from like, nothing bad is going to happen to me. So, fuck it, you know, whatever. Fourth suggestion would be, like, storyline-type missions, like long chains of missions with actual characters and branching paths using some kind of dialogue system. I'm not talking about a traditional single-player game, sort of campaign mode. Elite's a sandbox game. It always has been, and it always will be. That's what Elite's about. But some missions that have an actual story to them would go a long way to keeping people interested in the game. Add a couple more every few months, just these sort of micro stories. You know, it's maybe a string of like 5 or 6 missions, something like that, and you have like dialogue choices to make during them. Things happen that are unexpected. You know, you don't need that many of these to start. Just add them gradually. You know, it'd make the place feel a lot less empty and sterile, just to me, if it had some like fun, well-written dialogues, and even just text-based stuff. Like, I'm not saying they need to spring for voice actors or big cutscenes, but just a thought. And these are all things that I'm pretty sure other people in the community have suggested ad nauseum. I have some of these things I haven't seen specifically mentioned on the forums before, but I don't read the forums a lot. Some of these ideas I have seen on the forums before, and the thing about it is there's lots and lots of ideas. These are just some suggestions. I'm not really committed, like, hardline trying to push any of these ideas. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there that I think would help the game feel a little bit less empty. And it's obvious if you browse the forums that there's a sense among the majority of the community that the game is still missing something. There's a lot more positivity now than there was on the forums and stuff than there was 6 months ago, and a lot of people were really enjoying the game. And as I said, I'm kind of enjoying it now too. but there's definitely still this feeling that it's not there yet, you know? It's not there. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the current state of the game, some ideas on how to make it better. Like I said, I do think it's a pretty decent game now. I want to keep reiterating that, because I don't want this video to come off as being too negative. It's a pretty decent game, but the core stuff they've got has the potential to be an amazing game. So it's kind of a downer in that way. The game just needs a little bit more love. I'm not convinced it's yet time to be working on such a major addition as Planetary Landings, even when there's still so much untapped potential in sort of space game. But, I mean, we'll see how that pans out. It's too early to say. Maybe the Planetary Landings will add something real. Maybe those will really add a lot to the game. Maybe those will help fix it. I mean, hopefully, I'm really hopeful that by the end of next year, after we've got Horizons, the game will be in a really, really fun state. Because if it's not, I mean, one of these days, eventually, Star Citizen is actually going to release something. And I think that's great, just to be clear. I'm not trying to weigh in on, like, I know there's this stupid war between, like, ED players and Star Citizen players. I don't like Star Citizen's business model, and I'm not currently interested in buying it for, like, what they've released so far. But I really hope Star Citizen succeeds, because I think it'll, you know, I also don't think it's likely to live up to all the hype surrounding it, but I think there's potential for it to be a good space game, and I hope by that time Elite Dangerous will also be a really solid space game, and then we'll have multiple good games to play. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all just be happy that we're going to have multiple good games to play in a genre that's been neglected for quite a long time, rather than getting all divisive at each other's throats about it? Fuck, I hate internet communities sometimes. Anyway... Sorry to digress there. Basically, my sort of conclusion is that if you love space sims and are sad that there's nothing substantial to play in that genre, and there hasn't been for quite a while, pick up ED. It's slow, it's often boring. It feels empty for all its scale, but I think there's enough there now to call it a decent game for sort of a starved market. I think there's enough there that I would recommend this to fans of the genre. You know, if I was in the business of giving numerical scores, I'd say like a 6 out of 10. Like, it's a decent genre game. But for Joe Everyman, who likes video games but isn't necessarily hugely attached to this particular genre, it's still a hard sell. I'm hoping, you know, that maybe in 6 months to a year, yes. I think that's the timeline we're looking at. Like, if they're ever going to make it into something really, truly great, I think it'll happen within the next year or so. I really, really hope that does happen, and I'll be able to make another video like this, you know, 9, 12 months from now and say, Elite Dangerous is fucking amazing now, guys. But for now, genre fans only, I think. Joe Everyman, not yet, my son. Not yet. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Kind of a long video, I know. Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know. Interact with me, you fucks. Until next time, Trouble T Cat out.